Utah HC, formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes, have unveiled their uniforms for year one and the 6 finalists for their nickname. Robyn Leano of Locked On Utah HC joins us to talk about that and all things Utah as they head toward their first season in the NHL, next on the Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On NHL Network, your team every day. I want to thank everybody who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On NHL Utah, Robyn Leano. And Robyn, not a lot of dull moments going on right now concerning this franchise. Let's start with the nickname for the first year and the uniforms. A busy week out in Utah.
Yeah, it absolutely has been a busy week. You know, with the deal officially, quote, closing. I mean, we already knew this was we already knew it was happening. If everything was, in motion, but officially closed as of late last week. And the moment that happened, I think they made the post, the ink is now dry. What they made on their post as they unveiled the new jerseys, unveiled their nickname is going to be Utah HC, only for season one, because they'll have their official name by season two. I want to make sure everyone knows that, because people have already seen the jerseys and seen the name and seen the word marks and have already thrown fits. It's only for season one. It's just like another Washington football team situation.
What were your thoughts on the colors? Were you surprised by the choices of the nickname for year one and the colors?
Definitely not surprised by the nickname. I kind of already figured it was going to be something very simple, something that you can easily tune to. Utah Hockey Club was just like the easiest that you can go with. Made things a lot easier. On the show, I still say NHL in Utah. That's what we've been saying for the last 2 months. Utah HC just makes things so much easier. Just for a broadcast and an identity sense, it just made things easier. So I was not surprised by that. As I already know, they said we're not going to have a real name until season 2. We're not going to even worry about that. So that I knew coming in. When in terms of the colors, I'm a little surprised. They kind of already teased it kind of over the last couple months. They've shown the baby blue multiple times, that what they call mountain blue. I was wondering for the longest time what was going to be those other colors. I was going to say maybe black, maybe a little bit of purple in there as a little bit of an homage to the earlier colors of the Utah Jazz when they got brought over from New Orleans over to Salt Lake City. So I figured, you know what? I think that would be cool. Plus, I love the color purple, so maybe I was a little bit biased on that. But it works. The colors that they have, it's officially rock black, salt white, and mountain blue, with mountain blue, I think, being their third color. Logos look pretty good. Nothing to write home about, but nothing to complain about either. And jerseys, like I say, they're clean. Love the away jerseys. I don't know what it is about me, Gil. The white jerseys, I am a sucker for sometimes.
Yeah, look, when I started following hockey in the 70s, I know I'm dating myself here, but home teams wore white and road teams wore the colors, and that changed in the 90s. But, I sort of have a soft spot for white jerseys for that reason as well. Now, the team also did announce 6 final candidates for the permanent name, which, as you mentioned, will start in year 2. What were the 6 finalists, and do you have a favorite at this point?
Yeah, so as of right now, the 6 finalists are Well, let's start Utah HC, so they'll continue to use that name, as well as the other 5 being the Yeti, the Mammoth, the Outlaws, the Blizzard, and I'm blanking on the last one here.
Mammoth?
Did I say Mammoth? I think I already said Mammoth.
Blizzard, Mammoth, Venom,
Blizzard,
Yeti.
Mammoth, Yeti, Outlaws, HC.
Blizzard, Mammoth, Outlaws, Venom, Yeti. That's 5.
There's 6.
Right.
I don't know why I'm
HC.
blanking on it. Yeah, HC. There you go. Anyways, it's I don't think I mentioned Venom. So
okay.
The one I was missing. See, and there gives you an example. Not a huge fan of Venom because it's forgettable. I usually keep forgetting that one. I used to like it, but I'm realizing now, again, it's forgettable.
Right.
I would not like to see Utah HC continue. I've only thought, again, it's a placeholder, just like Washington football team was for you NFL fans, when they're transitioning from the Redskins on over to the Commanders. It's same situation. So please don't do that. From the public eye, it seems that Yeti is currently the most popular. And it is Yeti, no S, so not Yetis, but
right.
Yeti. And then followed by the number 2, I believe Mammoth is the second most popular, which is my favorite. And that's strictly from a marketing perspective, Gil, is taking a look at what the possibilities are for logos and word marks and other kinds of potential jersey designs, merchandise sales. I just feel that Mammoth has the most possibilities. Yeti does too. It has a lot of possibilities. People have made the joke about, hey, why don't you make a sponsorship deal with the cooler company?
Right.
I actually made a rebuttal joke, and I'm like, hey, wouldn't that be awesome for the Utah Yeti, sponsored by the cooler company, to be in the Stanley Cup final? It's I love to make those kind of jokes, but no, for real. Mammoth has been my favorite, at least in the last couple of weeks. It wasn't even in my top 5 for a while. Then it all of a sudden kind of just popped in there because I realized the potential it has.
Now, the color scheme for year 1 is not guaranteed to follow in year 2 once they pick the permanent.
This is the color scheme. So the color scheme that we see now, those 3 colors will be the colors for whatever the team is named.
Okay.
And that might give you an idea of what it could potentially lean towards. Those 3 colors very well fit the Yeti. That's what it almost feels like it is an inevitability. But it kind of fits the Mammoth. Of course, it still fits HC because any color at that point will. And you can make an argument that you can fit those colors in with Outlaws, but I feel like you have to get a little more creative with Outlaws and Venom. With Blizzard, easy. Again, same thing. And one thing I will add, Gil, a lot of people are sleeping on Blizzard. It is also in my top 3, and it has become a big part of my top 3 for the reason being and a very, very different reason. And it is strictly to keep the double Z identity that's going on of Utah, the Utah Jazz.
Right.
So then you got the Utah Blizzard 2Zs. So, I mean, people told me that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm on board for that. So, I would be happy with Blizzard as well.
All right. Now, what's next for this team during the offseason besides, free agency and the draft, which every team is dealing with? But what's next for Utah HC?
They still got, they're focusing on as much of the offseason as any other NHL team. Bill Armstrong it's really got his work cut out for him. I just took a look at, their salary cap table, and they've got $20 million until they even hit the salary floor.
Wow.
So they've got money to work with. Yes. If we want to go with, look at all the actual details, they don't have any defensemen signed through the next year yet. So that obviously is going to command a decent chunk, specific, to even bring back some of your guys. But for the most part, they have so much money to work with. They're going, I have a feeling you expect to see a team like this make a splash. to continue to build their way to a competitive team, they will be a competitive team this year. I fully believe that. Are they going to be a playoff team? Probably not. But what they're working towards and what the excitement is going around there, it's going to market. They're going to market themselves. The fans are already excited. I think 34,000 season ticket deposits, that which obviously even way over, is overshot what they can even hold in their arena. So, this city is ready for hockey.
All right. Well, I know you'll have every step of the way covered for us. Robyn, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find the podcast anywhere you can get your podcast on social media. We are on the app formerly known as Twitter, now called X. It's at LO_NHL Utah. And I am personally at Robyn_Leano.
All right, Robyn. Thanks so much. Always a pleasure.
Of course.
Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, and more. You can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you could use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. Hockey fans, use your knowledge of the NHL to bet on the Conn Smythe Trophy winner as the playoffs MVP, who's going to win Game 5 back in South Florida, or who's going to win the Stanley Cup. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon, FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.